These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Watson versus Mahoney, when it comes to 4-year-old Kevin Watson, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Watson, you
Okay, this is a case between Mr. Watson and Mr. Mahoney. They've been together for 9 years, all right, and they are both engaged, and they have a 4-year-old boy, and they're about getting married. But there's one enormous problem. The man you're about to meet in this video, he doesn't believe that the little boy is actually his, even though he's, already been shown the DNA results saying otherwise. And there's a reason he doesn't, believe or trust the results. So today, another DNA test from the court is going to settle the question once and for all.
Mr. Watson, you are in court to prove that you are not the biological father of the defendant's 4-year-old son, Kevin. You say that while you were away, Ms. Mahoney was having sexual relationships with 2 different men, and either of them could be the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Mahoney, you say you are 99.999% sure that Mr. Watson is the father and deny his accusations of infidelity. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Watson, you say today's results will determine the future of your relationship.
Yes, Your Honor, it will. I've known her since we were kids. We need to get these results because, we are engaged and I would like to marry her, and I really hope this is my son.
And you say the relationship's on the line, meaning if the results don't turn out the way you would like, the relationship, the marriage, everything?
It's out the window, Your Honor. It's over with.
And we're already dealing with much more than a DNA test here, right? This man is saying that if this child isn't his, at the engagement, the marriage, everything is finished, right? But remember that, okay? Because later we are going to discover that this uncertainty hasn't existed for, a few weeks, all right? It's been hanging over this family for 4 years. So you could imagine. So let's keep watching.
Really?
Yes,
Miss Mahoney, how is this paternity doubt affecting your child?
Hard. He takes it hard. He looks up to him a lot. Sometimes he gets real short-tempered with him, and he just he'll sit by him and he'll move away, and it's hard as a mother to see that.
And Kevin's 4, so he understands this rejection.
Yeah.
And this right here bothered me a lot. More than the paternity test arguments, all right? Adults can question each other, adults can argue, they can demand another DNA test, right? But this child doesn't understand, the percentage of a DNA accusation of infidelity, all right? But he understands that, sometimes that his dad, is close to him, and, sometimes his dad will push him away. And if Watson genuinely had, doubts, I understand, him wanting certainty, all right? But, allowing those doubts to affect how you treat a 4-year-old child, that is where, I think we adults have to be, extremely careful. And let's keep going, all right? Because now we'll find out that, why he became so suspicious.
When I was away, when I came back, she was cheating, and she has a bad reputation of being basically, as I'm going to say it, the neighborhood hoe.
Okay, we're going to try to use respectful language, but you let's say she had a reputation of being very promiscuous.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and so you were away and you came home. What did you find when you came home?
She had 2 men staying with her, and they were showering her with gifts and taking care of her. Now, me as a man personally, I'm not going to do that for no woman.
Being a man, though, you should have left me.
I never left.
Miss Mahoney, did you have 2 men living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
I had no job. I had nothing to fend for myself. They were close family friends, and they just wanted to help me help them. I agreed to let them stay, and if I needed some toilet paper down, anything, they would help provide it.
And so were you providing them with anything besides a place to stay?
A bedroom. That was it.
Okay, so now I understand his suspicion better, right? He was away. He came back and discovers two other men staying in in the house and helping provide provide things, right? So if you were Mr. Watson or I was, if I was in his shoes, that's probably is going to raise questions, all right? But here's the the distinction I want us to maintain throughout this case, all right? Uh, some something looking suspicious, all right, isn't, the same as proving something happened, all right? Mahoney says, Miss Mahoney says, these were longtime friends helping her when, she had no job, all right? But, Mr. Watson believes, that there was much more, happening. So at this point, we have suspicion, but we don't have proof, right?
So did you ever ask him, are you sleeping with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
And what was his response?
He said yes.
There's been many girls doing it to the same. We have a problem where there's lots of people that were in our life trying to split us up.
Okay, now things gets considerably more complicated here, all right? Because if someone personally tells you that I've been sleeping with your partner, I can understand why that would stay in your head, all right? So, but there is another possibility, all right? Mahoney says this man was in love with her, and deliberately, wanted to destroy their relationship, all right? So somebody isn't, telling the truth here. I can tell you for a fact. So either Mahoney is lying about what happened, or this man was, the man in question, was trying to destroy their relationship, and we don't have enough information yet to, to know which.
It was basically crazy. And like her friend, her and her friend fell out, and the friend called me one day and was like, I want to tell you everything. And she basically told me everything, how she was
What she
sleeping
did
with.
was lie to you because
Okay, so now Watson believes that he has two separate sources supporting his suspicion. One of them is the man and her former best friend. Okay, if that's all you heard, you might be starting to to understand why he questioned her, right? But this next part completely changed the dynamic.
Was there sexual contact?
Yes, Your Honor.
So how can you not expect this woman to do that?
Because that was her best friend. That was her ride or die. They were together every day of the minute. Why? Who doesn't tell their
So
best
you
friend
felt like
secrets?
she gave you the inside scoop?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then she wanted to get close to you, but she gave you a scoop, all right?
Right.
Now we have a problem, right? Watson has spent this case questioning Mahoney's faithfulness, right? Based partly on information supplied by her former best friend. But now we discover that, he himself is had sexual contact with that same woman. But that doesn't prove Mahoney was faithful, but it absolutely changes how, I am evaluating the credibility and motivations of everyone involved, right? And there's a bigger issue here. You can't, demand transparency, right? From your partner, why you carefully choosing your words to avoid admitting your own behavior, all right? The judge asked about sexual contact, and only then did we get the complete answer. For me, both sides have, they are now, they now have serious trust problems here.
Pregnant?
I found out I was pregnant, and it was kind of a little iffy at first, but he switched and he's like, no, you had these men here. I know you were sleeping with them, your best friend, and that's around the time I found out what had happened between them. He just was really upset and told me I couldn't name him a junior, so I came Kevin. That's really close, and that I had been sleeping with him and they're his kids. So I went and we got DNA.
You took a DNA test?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
I went and was on government assistance and child support. We have to comply with them. And they asked me who the father was. I told them who he was. And he ran from all the things. And finally they found him. and had him go up there and take the DNA.
What did the DNA test say?
99.9%.
That Mr. Watson was Kevin's biological father.
Yes, ma'am. And the state put him on that birth certificate.
And believe me, this is where I, initially thought that, case closed, right? But they have already done a DNA test. It reportedly says 99.9 percent, right? So why are we here? I mean, why are we even here in the first place? Oh well, Watson actually has an explanation to that. So and I will admit, once I heard it, I understood, why he wanted, another independent test.
Because first of all, Your Honor, her friend forged papers. When she walked up showing me these papers, first of all, I didn't see no government stamp on it. And when she showed me it, quote me on this if I'm wrong, when I read it, it read like 99
of the black population.
Of the black
that
population.
That was my response. Of the black population in America, that he's 99. I'm sorry.
And that DNA took about 7-8 months just to get here, and there was no seal. And
it took 7 to 8 months.
They couldn't find him to get his DNA, and they already had ours.
You believe she forged these results?
Yes, ma'am.
So when this court contacted your home state, because we do our investigation as well.
Yes, ma'am.
We wanted to find out how long it should take to get results. And we were told that it takes about 2 weeks to 1 month.
This is the part where this makes this case interesting, right? Because Watson isn't, simply saying that, I don't like the results, or he doesn't like the results, right? He's saying that I don't trust the documents. I mean, those are different arguments, right? So the unusually long timeline bothered him. All right. So the paperwork bothered him, and then we learned something else. Someone close to Mahoney apparently, had experience forging DNA documents. All right. And at this point, even if Watson's suspicion, ultimately turns out to be, completely wrong, I understand why an independently, administered test could, finally remove the question.
My friend, she forged DNA documents when we were younger, and it was real. It looked real. So I mean, I understand, the fact that and that would be in my mind as well.
Okay, and that's an important admission, right? Even Mahoney basically acknowledges, that she understands why, he would think that way, right? That doesn't mean, she forged everything or she forged anything. There's no proof, presented here or that she forged the DNA test, right? But it explains why Watson doesn't, automatically, trust the paper he saw, all right? And that's why we have to, separate two things, all right? Which is understanding someone's suspicion doesn't, mean the suspicion is true, right? So today we are finally going to find out.
Do you believe that biologically Kevin is your grandson?
I am now questioning more and more. That's never been in my heart before, and it is now. And it's really bothering me.
Thank you so much for your testimony, ma'am.
Thank you.
And you could imagine, just look at how, uncertainty spreads, right? It's not only affecting, Watson and Mahoney anymore. Now, grandma is, questioning whether this this is her biological grandson, right? So, well, meanwhile, Kevin is 4 years and, apparently already sensing rejection, all right? So this is why I think that, getting definitive answer becomes, it became necessary.
For 4 years, this has been hanging over your head?
All the time.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything. We could be mad about our sandwich was cold, and we're gonna end up fighting about this. There's a lot of bad water under our bridge. And we were young. We've done a lot of things, to each other that we're not proud of.
I mean, 4 years. That's the detail I can't, get past. All right. Imagine every disagreement, eventually will turn into, is this even my child? things like that. And at this point, the DNA question, has already infected the entire relationship, all right? And I think, Miss Mahoney says something surprisingly self-aware here. Uh, uh, in her words, that they are both, done things they are not proud of, right? And that's really important because I'm no longer looking at this as, who's the villain here, right? But I'm looking at these two people, who have, accumulated so much mistrust that, that's neither one of them seem, capable of moving forward without an outside answer.
Is there something you have not said? Is there another man that could potentially be Kevin's biological father?
No, ma'am. And
Are there any other men?
No, ma'am. We have broken up, and I've had other, relationships with men, but never around when I got pregnant.
So, yeah, it is, right? Her position couldn't be, clearer. She says there is no other possible biological father, right? Now, Watson says if the test says he's not the father, that he's living, there really isn't anywhere else, for this case to go. We need the result, but before we hear it, make your decision based on everything we've heard, right? Is Mr. Watson the father? Yes or no? And my prediction is I think he is, right? Well, let's see.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics and they read as follows. In the case of Watson versus Mahoney, when it comes to 4-year-old Kevin Watson, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Watson, you are the father.
See? I love you so much.
I'm sorry, baby. I love you.
I love you so much.
I love you. I'm sorry, baby.
I know. It's okay. It's okay. I love you. I love you guys too. Okay.
I'm better now.
You relieved, Mr. Watson?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we go home and get married now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, there it is. Mr. Watson is Kevin's biological father. And look at the reaction. I mean, she could tell. Now, for 4 years of, doubt, just disappears in a few seconds, right? But I don't think the results means, Watson was, automatically wrong for, appointing another test, right? Given everything we've heard, particularly his concern about the previous paperwork, I can understand, right? I can really understand, him wanting independent confirmation. But now, I think he went wrong, right? Was allowing the uncertainty to affect his relationship with the child. Honestly, Kelvin didn't, create this situation. He didn't make the accusation, or he didn't produce the this disputed paperwork, right? He's just a little boy who, who believes now this man is his dad, and now we all know.
It can be better, but you have to do the work.
That's why we're here.
Right. I was just about to say, Ms. Mahoney, and you're so correct. This was the first step. Took you 4 years to get here, to just get clarity from a situation that's been hanging over your head and destroying your lives.
It's been so
And not
hard.
just your life, Kevin's life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make that way better. I'm gonna step up.
Yes.
Swear to God.
Yes. And that right there.
And I believe him, and that's why I wanted to be here too.
But listen, what you have to understand is a child knows when they're being rejected.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be honest, that for me, is the most important thing, said in this entire case, right? the DNA test answered. It answered the question, who's the father? It did not, magically repair, the 4 years of emotional damage. It didn't fix the infidelity accusation. It didn't, fix Mr. Watson's own behavior, with Mahoney, former friend. All right, didn't restore trust at all, and it certainly didn't, erase whatever Kevin felt every time, the man he considered his father pulled away from him. And, the test gives this family an answer. Yeah, it gives them an answer. So what they now do with the answer now is now their responsibility.